The rain hammered against the windows of my old craftsman house in suburban Chicago like it was trying to drown out the secrets I'd buried for decades. I was 47, alone in the dim glow of my study, clutching a faded Polaroid of two young men laughing under a summer sky, the one I never showed anyone, the one that whispered my name in the quiet hours. That's when the door creaked open, and there stood my nephew, Ethan, 16 and wide-eyed, his backpack slipping from his shoulder as he stared at the photo in my trembling hand. "Uncle James," he whispered, not with judgment, but with a crack in his voice that mirrored the fracture in my soul. "Is that you? Happy?" I'd always been the steady uncle, the one who fixed bikes and grilled burgers at family barbecues, the bachelor with a quick smile and stories that skirted the edges of truth. Growing up in the Rust Belt heart of America, where steel mills once roared and men like my father measured worth in calluses and silence, I'd learned early to fold my real self away like a letter never sent. My truth that I loved men deeply and irrevocably had been a shadow since high school, when a stolen kiss behind the bleachers cost me my best friend and a piece of my youth. I carried it through college in Ann Arbor, where protests raged for rights I could only watch from the sidelines, too afraid to join. Jobs and sales took me from Detroit to Dallas, each city a new mask, until I landed back in Illinois, building a life of quiet routines, teaching history at the local community college, volunteering at the food pantry, and loving my sister Sarah's kids from afar, like Ethan, who reminded me so much of the boy I'd been, curious, kind, and quietly wrestling with storms inside. That rainy Tuesday evening, Ethan had shown up unannounced. His usual after-school drop-in turned urgent by a text. "Need to talk. Can I come over?" I'd assumed it was boy troubles, girls, grades, the endless navigation of high school that felt both ancient and immediate. Instead, he found me unraveling. The Polaroid was of me and Marcus, 25 years gone, our arms slung around each other after a Cubs game, grins wide enough to eclipse the pain that followed. Marcus had been my anchor in those wandering years, a graphic designer with a laugh like thunder and eyes that saw through my walls. We'd met at a coffee shop in Wicker Park, bonding over shared Midwestern roots and the ache of unspoken longings. For 3 years, we built something fragile and fierce: weekend hikes in the Indiana dunes, late-night talks about dreams deferred, a love that bloomed in stolen moments. But when his family discovered us, the fallout was swift: ultimatums, tears, a goodbye at O'Hare that left me hollow. I never saw him again, and the photo became my talisman, tucked in a drawer like a wound that wouldn't scar over. Ethan's arrival shattered the solitude I'd cultivated. He dropped his bag, rain dripping from his hoodie, and crossed the room in 3 strides. I saw it when I was looking for that book you lent me." The drawer was open. His voice trembled, not from accusation, but from the weight of what he sensed I was carrying. I braced for the recoil of the questions that would pry open old graves, but instead, he sat on the edge of my desk, his sneakers scuffing the wood floor. "Uncle James, you look like you're hurting. Like, really bad. Is this why you've always seemed?" "I don't know. Half here at family stuff." Those words landed like grace I didn't deserve. I sank into my chair, the photo crumpling slightly in my fist. And for the first time in years, the dam cracked. "Yeah, kiddo," I managed, my throat tight. "This is me. Or part of me. The part one hid because I thought it would break everything." The rain outside softened to a patter, as if the world held its breath. Ethan didn't flinch. He leaned forward, his young face etched with a maturity that humbled me. "Then tell me. All of it. Because if you're breaking, I don't want to watch from the outside." That night, as thunder rolled distant over Lake Michigan, I began the unraveling not just of my story, but of the boy I'd become to survive it. Ethan listened, his questions gentle probes that coaxed out the fragments, the isolation of my 20s. Dating women to fit the script. The hollow ache of holidays alone while Sarah built her family nearby. I spoke of Marcus with a reverence that surprised us both. How his leaving taught me love's sharp edges. How I'd channeled that grief into mentoring kids like Ethan, hoping to spare them my silences. By midnight, the study felt less like a confessional and more like a bridge. Ethan's hand on my shoulder, a tether pulling me from the depths. But truths, once aired, demand reckoning. The next morning, sunlight sliced through the blinds. Mocking the shadows we'd stirred. Ethan woke on my couch, bleary-eyed and determined. "We should tell Mom," he said over coffee, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "Not all at once. But she loves you, and I think she suspects." Panic surged Sarah, my rock, the sister who defended me through Dad's gruff disappointments, who'd never pried but always left room for my bachelor ways. What if this fractured us? What if the family gatherings, already strained by Dad's passing 5 years prior, crumbled under the weight? Ethan saw the fear flicker across my face. "Uncle James, hiding it broke you more than anything. Remember that time at the lake last summer, when I asked why you never brought anyone special? You joked it off, but I saw it though it dimmed you." He was right. That 4th of July, bonfires crackling on the shore of Lake Geneva. I'd watched couples entwine and felt the old envy twist like a knife. Ethan, ever observant, had filed it away, his teenage intuition sharper than my defenses. We drove to Sarah's in my old Ford pickup, the radio humming classic rock to fill the silence. She met us at the door of her split level in Naperville, flour-dusted apron from baking bread, her laugh lines deepening as she hugged Ethan tight. "What's this? A conspiracy?" But her eyes, so like mine, caught the undercurrent. Over tea in the kitchen's team curling like unspoken words, I faltered at first. The photo passed across the table like contraband. Sarah studied it, her expression softening from surprise to sorrow. "James," she whispered, reaching for my hand. "Why didn't you say? All these years." The conversation stretched into afternoon, tears mingling with laughter over memories twisted anew, Dad's stern lectures on manly pursuits, Mom's quiet encouragements that I dismissed as maternal bias. Ethan chimed in, his voice gaining strength, defending me with a fierceness that swelled my chest. "Mom, Uncle James is the best. He taught me to fish, to stand up for what's right. This doesn't change that, it makes him braver." Sarah pulled us both into a hug, her whisper fierce against my ear. "You're my brother. Truths and all. We've got time to fix this." Time, that elusive thread weaving through my life, began to shift. In the weeks that followed, Ethan became my unwitting co-conspirator, nudging me toward the edges of my comfort. He dragged me to a pride event in Boys Town, the streets alive with flags and faces unapologetic in their joy. I hesitated at the fringe, the bass of music vibrating through me like a pulse long dormant. "Come on," Ethan grinned, tugging my sleeve. "Live a little." For the guy in the photo, amid the crowd, I felt Marcus's echo, not in loss, but in possibility. A man with kind eyes and a volunteer's badge struck up conversation, sharing stories of his own late-blooming outness. No promises, just connect. I own a spark in the autumn chill. Yet shadows lingered. At Thanksgiving, the family table in Sarah's dining room brimmed with turkey and tension. Uncle Ray, Dad's old fishing buddy, grumbled about modern nonsense on the news, his words landing like barbs. I tensed, fork midway to my mouth, but Ethan, seated beside me, cleared his throat. "Actually, Uncle Ray loves love. Uncle James knows that better than most." The room stilled, eyes on me, Sarah squeezed my knee under the table, and I met Ray's gaze. Voice steady for the first time. It's taken me years to learn. But yeah, it's about family, not fitting some box. Ray blinked, for pausing, then nodded gruffly. Fair enough. Jimmy. Pass the gravy. That small victory cracked open doors I'd bolted shut. Winter deepened, snow blanketing the streets in forgiving white. And Ethan confessed his own secret over hot cocoa one night, a crush on his lab partner. Alex, a quiet kid with a sketchbook full of dreams. I didn't know how to say it. He admitted, cheeks flushing. But seeing you. It made it less scary. Mentoring him through those first awkward texts. The hand-holding at the mall became my redemption, a mirror to the boy I'd denied myself. We attended a PFLAG meeting together. The circle of parents and kids sharing stories that echoed mine. Ethan's presence a balm against the isolation I'd worn like armor. Spring thawed the ground and my resolve. Sarah set me up not with fanfare, but with quiet introductions at book club, where I met David, a librarian with a dry wit and a penchant for more novels. Our first date was coffee in Millennium Park, cherry blossoms scattering like confetti, his hand brushing mine across the table without pretense. Ethan speaks highly of you, David said, eyes crinkling. Says you're rewriting your story. With him, I practiced vulnerability, sharing the Polaroid, the ache of Marcus's absence, the fear that time had dulled my capacity for this. He listened, then shared his own scars of divorce, a slow coming out in his 40s. We're not broken, James, he murmured, just bent toward the light. But life's kinks don't straighten easy. Summer brought a curveball, Ethan's high school graduation, a milestone laced with my regrets. As he walked the stage, cap tassel swaying, I sat in the auditorium, David at my side, Sarah beaming from the row ahead. Pride swelled, mingled with a pang. What if I'd come out sooner? Built my own family. Ethan spotted me in the crowd, his grin electric. And later, amid hugs and photos, he pulled me aside. This is because of you, Uncle James. You showed me it's okay to be all of me. His words, simple and profound, undid me right there by the punch bowl, tears blurring the gym lights. As fall leaves turned, our bond deepened into something unbreakable. David and I navigated rhythms, movie nights with Ethan, weekend getaways to the Smoky Mountains where trails led to truths shared under starlit skies. One evening, as we grilled steaks in my backyard, Ethan arrived with Alex in tow, the two of them hand in hand. Shy but sure. We wanted to thank you, Alex said, voice soft, for making space. The four of us laughed into the twilight, stories flowing like the beer from the cooler. Marcus's memory honored not in grief, but in the legacy of openness he'd unwittingly sparked. Yet the deepest break, the one that mended me whole, came on a crisp October morning. A year to the day Ethan found the photo. We'd planned a hike in the dunes. Just us two. The lake's vastness a canvas for reflection. At the summit, wind whipping our jackets, he turned to me, eyes serious. Uncle James, that night, catching you like that, it didn't break you. It saved you. And me. He pulled a small frame from his backpack, the Polaroid, restored and mounted, beside a new snapshot, us, arms around each other at pride, faces alight. This is our truth now. I pulled him close, the boy who'd become my mirror, my mender, the wave crashing over years of drought. In that embrace, under an endless Midwestern sky, I felt the fragments knit not perfect, but profoundly alive. Time hadn't stolen my story. It had gifted me this, a nephew's reaction, breaking me open to heal, to love without apology, to step into the light I'd long denied. And in that breaking, I found my best self, reflected back in eyes that knew me true. The dune sand shifted under our boots as we descended. The framed photos tucked safely in my pack. A talisman for the path ahead. Ethan chattered about college applications UWC for environmental science. A major inspired by our hikes, and I marveled at how swiftly he'd grown from the gangly teen who'd stumbled into my truth to this young man, poised on his own edge. David waited at the trailhead, his truck idling, a thermos of coffee steaming in the chill. "How'd it go?" he asked, his hand finding mine naturally now, after months of tentative dances. Ethan rolled his eyes good-naturedly. "Sap alert. But yeah, Dater. Uncle James is officially out of the closet. Again." Laughter bubbled up, easing the residual ache in my chest. David had become part of the weave seamlessly, his patience a quiet force that coaxed me from old habits. We'd spent fall exploring Chicago's hidden gems, jazz clubs in Hyde Park where saxophones wailed like unburdened hearts. Farmers markets in Logan Square bursting with colors that mirrored the vibrancy I'd rediscovered. But intimacy bred vulnerability. And with it, doubts. Late one night, tangled in sheets scented with his cedar cologne, I confessed the fear that haunted me. What if this falls apart? I'm not young. David, what if I'm too set in my ways? He traced my jaw, eyes steady in the moonlight filtering through blinds. "James, your ways got you here brave enough to let a kid in. To build something real now. That's not set. That's seasoned." His words lingered, a balm against the scars Marcus's ghost sometimes stirred. I'd visited his grave that summer, a quiet cemetery in Milwaukee, laying wildflowers and whispering thanks for the love that had cracked me open, even in pain. Ethan's senior year unfolded like a tapestry of firsts for him and, vicariously, for me. He and Alex navigated prom with painted nails and matching boutonnieres, defying whispers with linked arms down the auditorium aisle. Sarah hosted a pre-dance dinner, her home aglow with string lights and her famous lasagna, where toasts flowed freer than wine. To Ethan and Alex, she raised her glass. And to the uncle who taught us love doesn't hide, Ray, surprisingly, clinked glasses with a gruff, "Here's to not being a damn fool anymore." The table erupted in cheers, Ethan's foot nudging mine under the Clotha's silent nod of alliance. But growth's underbelly is doubt, and Ethan's hit hard mid-semester. A biology teacher, conservative and unyielding, dismissed a class discussion on diversity with a curt, "Stick to facts, not agendas." Ethan, emboldened by our talks, spoke up. "Facts include all people, sir. Like my uncle, who's gay and the strongest man I know." The room hushed. Repercussions followed a note home. Awkward parent-teacher conference. Sarah fumed. But Ethan, chin set, turned to me after. Was it stupid to say it out loud? We sat on my porch swing, stars pricking the velvet sky, crickets chorusing approval. "No, kiddo. It was brave. But bravery doesn't mean no backlash. It means standing anyway." I shared my own fallout, the job I lost in Dallas after a coworker overheard a phone call to Marcus. The years of overcompensating with overtime and isolation. It hurts, but it shapes you, like how your words shaped me. He leaned his head on my shoulder, the weight of his trust heavier than any burden I'd carried alone. David and I weathered our storms too. A weekend in New York for a conference on LGBTQ history, ironic. Given my delayed entry brought us to Stonewall Shadows, where plaques commemorated riots that paved unseen paths for men like us. Hand in hand through Greenwich Village. We paused at a cafe, his thumb stroking my knuckles. "Ever think about writing it down? Your story?" The idea sparked. Dormant embers fanned. Back home, I started a journal. Pages filling with vignettes, the sting of Dad's silence at my lifelong singledom. The joy of Ethan's first Pride March. The tenderness of David's goodnight kiss. Thanksgiving that year felt like reclamation. The house swelled with kin cousins from Milwaukee. Sarah's in-laws from the city tables groaning under pie and politics. When conversation veered to the election's culture wars, Ray surprised us, piping up, "Enough. My nephew-in-law here's got more guts than half those talking heads. Live quiet. Love true, that's American." Heads nodded. Ethan beamed across the turkey. Later, washing dishes with Sarah. Suds bubbling like secrets shared. She murmured, "He's right. You've always been our quiet hero, James. Now you're loud about it. And it's beautiful." Winter wrapped us in rituals new and old. David joined the family sledding outing at Swallow Cliff, his laughter echoing as we tumbled down hills like kids. Ethan, home from a college tour, confided over Coco, "Alex and I. We're talking future. Scary, but good." His vulnerability mirrored mine at that age. And I guided gently, "Build on friendship first. Love's the root, but trust's the trunk." Watching them at the holiday lights display, fingers interlaced amid twinkling arches, I glimpsed my younger self redeemed. Spring brought Ethan's acceptance letter, a fat envelope from UIUC that we celebrated with a bonfire in the backyard, flames dancing like liberated spirits. David roasted marshmallows to perfection. Sarah spun tales of my awkward teen years, and Alex sketched caricatures on napkins. As embers glowed, Ethan pulled me aside. "College means leaving, but not really. You've shown me home's not a place it's people like you." Tears pricked. Pride swelled. A tide eroding old shores. Yet the true test came in June. Ethan's graduation party, a whirlwind of caps, gowns, and goodbyes. Amid the backyard chaos, string lights swaying, grill smoke curling, I slipped away to the study, the weight of transitions pressing. David found me there, photo frame in hand. He's not losing you. He's carrying you forward. We emerged arm in arm, toasts ringing, to new chapters. Ethan's speech, scribbled on note cards, gutted me. My uncle taught me truth isn't a burden, it's a bridge. Over fears. To family. Summer's heat mirrored the fire building within. David and I took a road trip down Route 66 remnants. From Chicago to St. Louis. Motels with neon signs flickering like fireflies. Stops at diners yielded stories from locals, a waitress who'd come out at 60. A vet with rainbow dog tags. Time bends, but doesn't break us, David said one night. Stars wheeling overhead in a tent near Springfield. I believed him then. Fully. Fall semester loomed. Ethan's dorm packed with posters and promise. Drop-off day. Campus buzzing with freshman nerves. Alex waiting with open arms. Call anytime. I hugged him tight. Voice thick. Proud doesn't cover it. Driving home. David at the wheel. I felt the empty nest pang, not mine, but woven into ours. Ready for our next act? He asked. I nodded. Hand on his thigh. More than. That October marked 2 years since the rain-soaked revelation. We gathered at the dunes again. Ethan home for fall break. Alex in tow. Sarah and Ray rounding the circle. The photo frame passed hands. Stories layered like sedimentary rock, pains unearthed. Joys planted. As sunset bled orange across the lake, Ethan raised a toast with a thermos flask. To truths that break us open and the love that pieces us back. Better. In that moment, wind whispering through grasses, I saw the arc complete, from hidden boy to seen man. From solitary ache to shared light. My nephew hadn't just caught me. He'd caught the thread of my unraveling and rewoven it into tapestry vibrant, enduring, profoundly human. The circle broke into easy chatter as dusk deepened. The lake's murmur a soothing underscore to laughter and clinking mugs. Ray. Ever the storyteller. Regaled Alex with embellished tales of my childhood fishing mishaps. Your uncle once hooked his own hat. Swam right into the drink after it. Drawing guffaws that eased the poignant edge of the evening. Ethan caught my eye across the fire pit we'd improvised with driftwood. His nod subtle but loaded. This is what you built. David squeezed my hand, grounding me in the now. His presence a steady hum against the what-ifs that occasionally ghosted my thoughts. Back home, autumn's palette painted Elm Street in golds and crimsons. Leaves crunching under tires as routines settled. Ethan dove into college with the fervor of youth unscarred. Weekly calls laced with dorm drama and late-night philosophies. Professor says identity's fluid like the dunes we hiked. Changes with the wind. But the core stays. His insights, gleaned from psych electives, prompted my own reflections during solitary jogs along the Des Plaines River, where willows wept into waters that mirrored my evolving self. David and I carved space for depth amid the daily. Book club evolved into writing group, where I shared journal excerpts, raw drafts of Marcus's chapter. The terror of that first family dinner post out. Feedback flowed gentle. Your voice carries the ache beautifully, David affirmed later. Over stir-fry in his Logan Square apartment. City lights twinkling beyond fogged windows. Intimacy deepened not in grand gestures, but in quiet confessions, his fear of aging alone pre-me. My guilt over lost years. We make up time. I'd counter, pulling him close, by living it full. Thanksgiving arrived swathed in tradition, laced with novelty. Sarah's table expanded to include David officially seat of honor beside me. Ray's initial side-eye, melting into queries about his Bears fandom. You a Cutler guy or what? Grunts turned to grins over pie. Ethan's video call from campus crackling with static, but brimming with warmth. Miss you all. Alex sends pie pics disaster. Laughter bridged the miles. A reminder that family stretched elastic, encompassing chosen threads. Winter's grip tightened with unexpected frost, a health scare for Sarah. Routine check revealing early arthritis. Her hands those baking. Hugging anchors swelling like metaphors for burdens born. I drove her to appointments in the city. Rheumatology clinic in Rush, a sterile contrast to our sibling banter. Promise me, she said on Route 1 sleety morning. You won't go back to hiding. Not even a little. Her words, laced with sibling steel, fortified me. Ethan, home for break. Organized hand therapy sessions claim modeling in my living room. Figures emerging misshapen but spirited. See, we adapt. He quipped, his phoenix rising lopsided from the mound. David's support wove seamless, meals delivered. Walks when pain flared. His calm a counter to my hovering worry. One blizzard-bound night. Snow sealing us in. We played Scrabble by candlelight power out. Words are light. Quixotic. He laid down. Tiles clicking. Like you tilting at life's windmills. I laughed. Then sobered. What if the windmill wins? His kiss. Slow and sure. Answered. Then we rebuild. Together. Spring unfurled tentative. Crocuses pushing through frost, heaves like hope's resurfacing. Ethan's spring break brought revelations. He'd come out to his roommate. A casual drop over pizza. Hey, I'm by. By the way, met with a shrug and shared playlists. Felt normal. He texted. Relief emoji punctuating. Pride swelled vicarious. I forwarded articles on allyship. Our exchange is a lifeline across state lines. Yet ripples from past eddied. A college acquaintance unearthed my old Dallas photo online and a mystery date at a gala. Pre-Marcus, but post-heartbreak. Whispers reached Ethan via group chat. Uncle's got history. He called. Voice edged. Ignore the noise. But does it hurt? Dredging it up. We dissected over FaceTime. His dorm posters blurring behind. It stings. Yeah. but it's mine's cars and stars. His empathy. Honed young. Mended fresh. Summer hummed with motion. David and I volunteered at a youth center in Uptown, facilitating workshops on identity for LGBTQ teens mirrors to Ethan's age. My youth. One boy, 16 and trembling, echoed my silences. What if family rejects? I shared the photo tale. Ethan's reaction the pivot. Eyes widened. A hand raised tentative. Mine might too. Hugs followed. Seeds planted in fertile ground. Ethan interned locally. Environmental nonprofit, scouting urban green spaces. Alex visiting weekends with sketchpad in tow. Barbecues in my yard became ritual, grills sizzling. Stories swapping his capstone project on climate resilience. David's latest library acquisition. One evening, as fireflies ignited, Ethan proposed a family vow, annual dune hike. No matter where life pulls. Heads nodded. Pacts sealed in sunset glow. Fall semester 2 loomed. Ethan's confidence blooming. Drop-off redux. Campus leaves swirling. Alex's goodbye kiss lingering. You're stuck with me. Ethan grinned. Hugging fierce. Homeward. David and I detoured to a vineyard in Galena. Rolling hills a balm. Wine tasting turned therapeutic. To middles. He toasted. Where truths break and reform. Glasses chimed. Futures toasting present. October's anniversary hike swelled the Circle Sarah mobile again. Ray with binoculars for birding. David packing gourmet sandwiches. At Summit. Wind tossed. Ethan unveiled a group photo, all of us. Last year's frame expanded. Our truth. He declared. Tears traced paths down cheeks. Lake vast below. In that expanse, I traced my arc, from concealed fracture to communal whole. Nephews gaze the lodestar. Life's tapestry frays and mends. But this thread love's unyielding we've held fast. A testament to breaks that birth beauty. The hike's afterglow lingered through November's chill. The group photo propped on my mantle like a sentinel against encroaching doubts. David's promotion to branch manager meant longer hours at the Harold Washington Library. His evenings spent curating exhibits on Chicago's queer history flyers for the opening adorning our fridge. A collage of faces fierce and faded. Come see. He invited one gray afternoon. Your story fits here. Hesitation flickered. Exposure still chafed like ill-fit wool. But Ethan, visiting for midterms cram, nudged, Uncle James. Your chapter and verse. Own it. The exhibit opening buzzed with intellectuals and activists. String quartet lilting amid artifacts, a 1970s protest sign. Yellowed love letters from the AIDS crisis. David's curation wove personal threads me contributed journal page. Anonymized but potent. Beside a timeline of Illinois' marriage equality fight. Whispers followed me. That's the donor. Pride warred with vertigo. But David's arm around my waist anchored. Ethan. In from campus with Alex. Cornered a reporter. My uncle's journey. It's why spaces like this matter. His advocacy. Unscripted. Swelled my throat. Thanksgiving pivoted poignant. Sarah's arthritis flared. Sidelining her from kitchen command. We commandeered her space. David chopping onions with surgical precision. Me kneading dough while Ethan piped playlists Motown soul to counter Ray's grumbles. Table talk treaded minds. National headlines on rolling back protections. Ray's brow furrowing. World's gone mad. He muttered. Ethan leaned in. Mad's hiding who you are. Uncle James didn't change us all. Ray paused. Fork hovering. Then, boys got a point. Past the birds. Jimmy. Concession small. Seismic. Winter wove introspection. Snow blanketed the neighborhood in hush. Perfect for long talks by the hearth. David and I delved deeper. Therapy sessions unpacking my paternal shadow's dad's unspoken affections. Funneled into work ethic over embraces. You love like he did fierce, but guarded. The counselor noted. Revelations rippled, letters to Dad. Unsent, but cathartic. Forgiving his era's constraints. Ethan, home for holidays, joined a session his own grapples with fitting in straight-leaning circles. Alex gets it, but sometimes I second-guess. Vulnerability shared. Bonds burnished. New Year's dawn crisp. Resolutions whispered over champagne, mine. To publish a memoir excerpt in a local lit mag. Submission trembled fingers. But acceptance email pinged weeks later, resonant. Raw validation like sunlight post-storm. Reading at a bookstore in Andersonville. Spotlights warm. Faces attentive. Ethan in front row beaming. Broke me good. A listener shared post-reading. Echoing my title. Whispers of connection lingered. A network forming. Spring semester brought Ethan's leadership Relico founding a queer alliance on campus. Virtual meetings bridging to my youth group ties. Guest speaker invite arrived. Share your truth. Nerves knotted. But David's rehearsal pep talk steadied. Auditorium half full. Undergrads wrapped. I recounted the photo moment train. Revelation. Ethan's grace. Q&A flowed. How'd family shift? Time and talk. I said. And a nephew braver than me. Applause thrummed. Ethan's text immediate. Killed it. Proud. Yet undercurrents stirred. A family reunion in Milwaukee mom's side. Aunts with old world views tested waters. Whispers at the potluck. James with a man. After all this time. Sarah's glare silenced. But sting lingered. Ethan, sensing, pulled me lakeside. Their loss if they can't see you. Remember, you're the bridge. His words. Windlashed. Reaffirmed. Summer's languor invited adventure. A cabin rental in Door County. Wisconsin. Group escape with Sarah. Ray. David. Ethan. Alex. Trails wound through cedar groves. Kayaks slicing emerald bays. Evenings by fire pit. Esmore sticky. Stories unspoldre's confession of a college crush suppressed. Met with nods not shock. Times change. He allowed. Vulnerability cracking his facade. Bonds reforged in flicker light. Fall's harvest moon heralded Ethan's junior year. Ambitions sharpening grad school whispers. Research grants. Drop-off ritualized. Coffee shared in quad. You're my North Star. He hugged. Home. David and I hosted a welcome-back dinner. Recipes from his Italian roots pasta Alfredo twirling on forks. Wine loosening tongues. To middles that meant. David toasted. Glasses chimed. Futures glimmering. October's hike. Now tradition. Crested with expansion, a drone-captured panoramic. Framing us against infinite blue. Legacy. Ethan labeled the print. In that vista, fractures healed me truth, not endpoint, but ever-unfolding path. Nephew's reaction, the fulcrum tilting toward light. Life's narrative arcs not linear, but spiral circling back enriched. Breaks, birthing breadth. The panoramic print hung in my study. A wide-angle testament beside the original frame. Timelines converging in pixels and paper. David's exhibit had sparked invitations guest lectures at community colleges. Panels on late life coming out each a step from shadow to stage. Nerves jangled pre-talks. But Ethan's pre-game texts, channel the Dunes vibe, grounded me. Audiences varied, retirees nodding sagely. 20-somethings firing questions like regrets. My answer evolved, not regretting truth, but delaying it. Time's the teacher. Thanksgiving threaded tension and tenderness. Sarah's hands steadied enough for turkey carving. Her knife precise as her insights. Ray arrived with a gift, a leather-bound journal. Embossed for the writer in the family. Heard your pieces. He grunted. Keep at it. Ethan's call from a campus feast crackled festive. Raise a convert. Miracles. Laughter layered. pie crust flaking like old skins shed. Winter's introspection deepened with a collaboration, David and I co-authoring an op-ed for the Tribune on intergenerational queer stories. Ethan's quotes woven and anonymized. Submission accepted. Publication day dawned with coffee and clippings me byline beside his. Ethan's whoop over speakerphone echoing. Front page of hearts. He quipped. Responses flooded, emails from closeted elders. Thanks from youth allies. Ripples real. Resonant. New Year's found us at a queer ballroom dance in Boys Town. David's hand in mine leading waltz amid swirling gowns and suits. One step at a time. He murmured as I stumbled. Laughter lightning missteps. Ethan. Visiting pre-semester. Crashed with a Lexbos dance diner run. Pancakes drowning in syrup. Dissecting moves and metaphors. Dancing's like coming out. Alex observed. Vulnerable. But freeing. Spring bloomed fraud. Ethan's alliance hit roadblocks, university funding cuts. Conservative pushback. Fight or fold. He vented over video. I stormy. We strategized late. Petitions. Ally outreach. My contacts from youth work. Rally day. I joined on campus. Sign hoisted, love wins. Always chanting with undergrads. Ethan's Mike's speech thundered. My uncle hid for decades. We won't. Victory small budget restored but seismic. His hug post-March fierce. Your story fueled this. Family currents shifted too. Mom. Widowed long. Visited from her assisted living in Peoria, first post-out meet with David. Awkward tea turned warm. Her tales of 1950s courtship. Parallels drawn. You remind me of your father's strong heart. Quiet way. Tears brimmed. Acceptance. Tardy but true. Summer's heat wave prompted a cooling retreat. Camping in the Boundary Waters. Minnesota canoes slicing Mirror Lakes. Loons calling nocturnal. Group dwindled to David. Me. Ethan. Alex. Sarah and Ray opted for AC. Portages tested. Evenings philosophical stars canopying debates on legacy. What do we leave? Ethan pondered. Not stuff stories. I countered. Fire crackling ascent. Fall semester 3 accelerated Ethan's trajectory. Internship at a Chicago environmental NGO. Commuting weekends. Dinners became debriefs, reports on urban equity. Tying climate to social justice. Queer lens changes everything. He noted. Pride in his fusion swelled. Mirror to my history lessons repurposed. Yet personal tides tugged. David's ex. Long estranged. Reached out apology letter for past dismissals during his closet years. Reading aloud by lamplight. Voice cracking. We unpacked. Forgive. Closure came in reply, drafted together, grace extended. Not obligation. Ethan's input via text. Boundaries. Not bridges burned. October hike ballooned. Alumni from Ethan's alliance joining. Circle widening to a dozen. Summit shared photos snapped. Toasts layered. To truths multiplied. David proposed. Windswept. I traced faces, nephews, lovers. Kint's mosaic of my making. Breaks begetting belonging. Narrative's spiral ascends. Each loop lighter. Laced with light. The expanded circle's energy carried into November's frost. Ethan's NGO internship yielding a panel invite youth voices on intersectional advocacy. Tag team with me. He asked. Eyes alight. I agreed. Our duo dynamic, his fire. My foundation. Venue packed. Mike's hot. We tag-teamed seamlessly as stats on green disparities. My anecdotes of hidden identities paralleling environmental silences. Q&A sparked. How do you bridge generations? Ethan's glance my way. Start with listening. Uncle James taught me that. Applause rippled. Connection charged. Thanksgiving anchored amid flux. Sarah's kitchen hummed hybrid Ethan home. Alex integrated. Ray experimenting with tofurkey for the kids. Table grace invoked broader thanks. David's exhibit extension. My Lit Mag feature. Conversations skirted divides. When politics flared. Ethan's pivot, grateful for tables like this, defused. Ray's not approving. Winter-wrapped creative cocoons. My memoir manuscript grew. Chapters charting arcs, youth concealment. Marcus's meteor. Ethan's catalyst. David's edits gentle. Probing, lean into joy here. Beta readers Sarah. Ethan offered tears and tweaks. Query letters winged to agents. Hope fragile as snowflakes. New Year's Eve. We hosted intimate, jazz vinyl spinning. Countdown confetti. Ethan and Alex slow danced in living room. David's arms circling my waist. Resolutions. He whispered. More us. I replied. Midnight kiss sealed. Ethan's cheer bridging. Spring semester 4 thrust Ethan toward capstone. Thesis on queer inclusive sustainability. Fieldwork in Chicago's South Side lots. I tagged along one sunny Saturday. Soil sifting through gloves. Community gardeners sharing plots and plights. This is healing. An elder noted. Rainbow bandana tied. Echoed my own tilling of inner ground. Personal plot twisted gentle. Agent request for full manuscript. Revisions ensuing. Doubts nipped too niche. But Ethan's read-through, universal. Uncle. Heart's the hook. David's belief buoyed. Late nights, typing by firelight. Family fabric strengthened. Ray's birthday barbecue. His invite explicit. Bring the bow. Grilling tales turned tender his admission of post-war loneliness. Met with Ethan's empathy. Never too late. Hugs awkward but earnest. Summer's solstice invited sojourn. Train to San Francisco. Pride pilgrimage. David and I wandered Castro streets. Rainbow crosswalks vibrant. History's haunting Harvey Milk's camera shop a shrine. Ethan joined midway. His alliance peers linking up. Parade floats thundered. Our cheers hoarse. Full circle. I murmured. Confetti stormed. Fall's fervor. Ethan's thesis defense loomed. Nerves jangling calls. Mock orals in my study. David's timer ticking. You've got this. Post-run affirmation. Defense day. Virtual feed crackling proud committee nods. His grin triumphant. October hike. Now pilgrimage. Drew 24 strangers turned kin via Ethan's networks. Summit ceremony, shared stories. Photo op panoramic. To cascades of courage. A newcomer toasted. Winds howled benediction. My heart full breaks broadcast. Beauty boundless. Spirals ascent steeps. Stories stacking skyward. November's palette faded to lumber. Ethan's thesis acceptance unlocking grad school apps ambitions articulated in essays crediting my influence. Minter turned mirror. Readings at local cafes followed my manuscript's agent signing deal inked for spring release. Title echoing the frame, broken open. Buzz built, podcast invites. Bookstore buzz. Thanksgiving transcended tradition. Sarah's table. Extended leaf groaning. Welcome David's parents retirees from Florida. Initial reserve thawing over Ethan's toasts. To kin by blood and choice. He proclaimed. Ray's quip, this bird's queer approved. Drew groans. Grins. Winter's hush-honed focus. Book tour planning interspersed revisions. Ethan's beta notes sharp. Amped the hope arc. David's exhibit traveled to Milwaukee. Joint reading their crowd intimate. Questions probing. Nephew's role. A fan asked. Catalyst. I affirmed. Ethan beaming from audience. New Year's Dawn collaborative. Writing retreat at a Galena B&B. David and I drafting sequel seeds queer midlife myths busted. Snow-muffled world. Words flowed unchecked. Spring bloomed bountiful. Ethan's grad acceptance to Yale's environmental policy. Full ride. Celebration dinner lobster flown in. Sarah's flirtiers toasting. World needs your voice. My launch party. Andersonville bookstore packed. Ethan emceeing. This man's truth broke barriers. Signings stretched. Hugs heartfelt. Family fluxes flowed. Mom's 80th. Peoria nursing home festooned. David charming aunts with trivia. Whispers quelled by Ethan's mic grab. Grandma. Uncle's book. Bestseller bound. Summer's Symphony. Book tour whirlwind Detroit readings evoking Marcus's haunts. And arbor panels on academia's closets. David tagged Chicago stops. Ethan's pre-tour pep. Own every stage. Pride in D.C. March with Alliance alums. Signs, slogan, solidarity. Fall's flourish. Ethan's move to New Haven. U-Haul loaded. Goodbye brunch bittersweet. Weekly Zooms. He vowed. Alex's hand in his. Campus drop-off. Ivy clad. His wave resolute. October hike. Tradition transcended virtual links for distant kin. In-person core ascending dunes. Summit swelled. Toast to launches. Leaps. Cascades continue. David echoed. Horizon held promises. My reflection rippled breaks to beacons. Ascent arcs eternal. Light leading. November's veil lifted on Ethan's Yale immersion. Emails episodic. Seminar sparks. Cohort kinships. My book climbed indie lists. Reviews resonant. A midlife manifesto of mending. Podcast circuit pulsed. Ethan's guest spot. Uncle's story. My syllabus. Thanksgiving traversed distances. Ethan zooming from dorm feast. Turkey pixels. Sarah's table intimate. Ray's carving steady. Toasts traversed. To miles bridged. Winter's weave tightened. Sequel chapters coalesced. David's illustrations conceptual dunes sketches symbolic. Ethan's winter break homecoming. Thesis extensions discussed over cocoa. New Year's networked. Virtual launch for book club tie-in. Ethan moderating Q&A. Future chapters. Fans queried. Ongoing. I grinned. Spring surge. Ethan's first conference presentation. D.C. Hybrid I attended. His podium poise proud. Post-panel hug. Your words in my spine. Book tour extension. West Coast whispers. San Francisco signing serendipitous Marcus's sister attending. Closure circled. He'd beam. She said. Tears twin. Family firmament. Ray's retirement roast. Speeches spotlighting shifts. Jimmy showed this old dog new graces. Summer spectrum. Ethan's internship at EPA. D.C. Summer. Alex visiting. My retreat in Door County. David joining. Words waterfront. Fall's fanfare. Ethan's master's milestone. Proposal defended distantly. October hike. Hybrid core crested. Screens synced. Summit symphony. Stories synced. Horizons harmonized. Spiral soars. Stories sustaining.